We could be close to the actual treasure. We've got a little bit of time to pull it all together, and we're going to work together to do that. That's where we are right now. I'm hopeful.
For more than 230 years, Oak Island has guarded a mystery that has defeated the world's greatest treasure hunters, scientists, and historians. Thousands of excavations have been carried out, hundreds of boreholes have been drilled, and millions of dollars have been spent searching for the truth. Yet every expedition ended the same way. The answer seemed to disappear just as it was within reach. But now, everything may have changed. After months of deep ground scanning, high-resolution underground mapping, core sampling, and advanced scientific analysis, Rick and Marty Lagina's team has uncovered evidence unlike anything ever found on the island. Beneath the surface lies what appears to be a massive human-made structure, surrounded by symmetrical stone formations and powerful metallic signals. If these findings are confirmed through excavation and laboratory testing, experts believe the discovery could be worth as much as $350 million, with some researchers even suggesting it may be connected to the legendary Templar treasure vault. So, has the greatest treasure hunt in history finally reached its final chapter? Or is Oak Island preparing to hide its biggest secret once again? Before we reveal the evidence, make sure to subscribe to the channel, press the bell icon, and turn on all notifications, because we uncover the real stories behind history's greatest mysteries, hidden treasures, and scientific discoveries. What you're about to see could completely change the story of Oak Island forever. Oak Island has long been regarded as one of the greatest unsolved mysteries on Earth. For more than 2 centuries, treasure hunters, historians, and scientific teams have searched its underground secrets. Yet every expedition has ended with more questions than answers. Thousands of excavation attempts have been made, hundreds of boreholes have pierced the ground, and millions of dollars have been invested. But the island has always managed to keep its greatest secret hidden. While many eventually lost faith in the search, Rick and Marty Lagina refused to walk away. They believed that modern science and the latest technology could finally succeed where every previous expedition had failed. Determined to test that belief, their team launched one of the most advanced investigations ever conducted on Oak Island. For weeks, specialists carried out deep subsurface scans, created high-resolution underground maps, collected core samples, and analyzed geological data using sophisticated digital systems. At first, the results appeared ordinary, showing nothing beyond expected natural formations. Then, everything changed. As the collected data was merged into a detailed 3-dimensional underground model, an unexpected feature appeared on the screen. Hidden beneath the island was a large structure with remarkably straight edges, surrounded by formations that looked carefully arranged rather than naturally formed. Even more surprising, the exact same location produced unusually powerful metallic signals that did not match the surrounding bedrock. The discovery immediately caught the attention of the entire team. Experts began comparing the new findings with records from previous drilling operations, and to their surprise, several older boreholes had hinted at the very same location years earlier. The room fell silent as everyone studied the evidence. Rick Lagina remained focused on the screen, while Marty repeatedly asked the question that had echoed through generations of treasure hunters. Had they finally found the place the world had been searching for over the last 230 years? Even with the excitement growing, the team remained cautious. They emphasized that no conclusion could be reached until the site was physically excavated and every result had been verified through laboratory testing and scientific analysis. Still, one fact could not be ignored. Never before had such a combination of evidence pointed toward a single underground target. To understand why this moment carried so much significance, it is necessary to look back at where the mystery first began. The story of Oak Island dates back to 1795, when unusual markings and a strange circular depression were noticed on the island. Curious explorers began digging, expecting little more than buried debris. Instead, they uncovered layers of timber, unusual stone features, and other discoveries that suggested something extraordinary might be hidden deep below the surface. That single excavation sparked one of history's longest treasure hunts. Over the following 230 years, countless expeditions arrived on the island. Some relied on traditional excavation methods, while others introduced heavy drilling equipment and increasingly advanced technology. Hundreds of boreholes were drilled, enormous amounts of earth were removed, and on several occasions it seemed as though the hidden chamber was finally within reach. But every breakthrough was followed by another setback. Flood tunnels filled excavation shafts with water, underground passages collapsed without warning, and dangerous conditions repeatedly forced operations to stop. Numerous expeditions ended in failure, leaving behind massive financial losses and even more unanswered questions. As technology evolved, so did the search. Ground-penetrating radar, high-resolution imaging, three-dimensional underground mapping, and digital geological modeling offered investigators a clearer view beneath the island than ever before. Yet despite these remarkable advances, the final answer remained frustratingly out of reach. Each new discovery added another layer to the mystery instead of solving it, which is exactly why Oak Island continues to capture the attention of historians, archaeologists, and treasure hunters around the world. Many believe that if its hidden chamber is ever uncovered, the discovery could become one of the most important archaeological finds in modern history, not simply because of its potential treasure, but because of the history it could reveal. After months of relentless investigation, Rick and Marty Lagina's team reached a turning point. Guesswork was no longer enough. To eliminate every possible uncertainty, they made the decision to rescan the entire target area using the most advanced deep-ground scanning technology available, hoping that this time the island would finally reveal what it had concealed for more than 2 centuries. To investigate the target area as accurately as possible, the team relied on advanced techniques including high-resolution underground imaging, 3D geological mapping, core sampling, and digital data analysis. Every result was checked and rechecked to eliminate the possibility of mistakes. At first, nothing unusual appeared in the reports. However, once all the scans were merged into a detailed 3-dimensional underground model, the atmosphere inside the investigation room changed instantly. About 180 feet beneath the surface, a large underground anomaly became visible. It did not resemble a normal rock formation. The outline appeared unusually straight, while symmetrical stone-like boundaries surrounded the feature, patterns that are rarely associated with natural geology. The biggest surprise came when powerful metallic signals repeatedly originated from the exact same location. Multiple scans taken from different directions produced nearly identical readings. The team immediately began comparing the new findings with decades of borehole records, core samples, and historical survey information. No matter which dataset they examined, the strongest signals consistently pointed to the same underground location. The scientists exchanged silent glances. For the first time in years of investigation, several independent technologies were highlighting the same target. Rick Lagina remained focused on the monitor, carefully studying every detail, while Marty ordered another round of verification. The team refused to make any premature announcement because Oak Island had raised false hope many times before. Even so, one question continued to grow louder. If multiple scientific methods were independently suggesting the presence of a human-made structure beneath the island, could something extraordinary really be hidden there? Could it be the legendary Templar vault? Once the latest scan results were complete, the investigation expanded beyond underground imaging alone. Rick and Marty's team began comparing the new discoveries with historical maps, centuries-old documents, and every major survey conducted during the island's 230-year search. For days, scientists, historians, and researchers carefully examined every piece of available evidence. Their objective was straightforward: to determine what the underground anomaly might actually represent. When the newly created 3D underground model was compared with historical maps, several interesting patterns emerged. Some old records had referred to the possibility of a hidden chamber or underground structure in this part of the island. Although those claims had never been scientifically confirmed, the latest scan data appeared to point toward the very same location. That coincidence led some researchers to revisit one of Oak Island's oldest theories, the possibility of a legendary Templar vault. According to several experts, if the underground feature is genuinely artificial, its characteristics differ from ordinary geological formations. The straight stone boundaries, balanced layout, and repeated metallic readings all suggest that the structure may have been intentionally constructed for a specific purpose. Some historians argue that if the long-standing stories linking the Knights Templar to Oak Island contain even a small amount of truth, this location could have served as an ideal place to conceal an important vault. Despite the growing excitement, many scientists urged caution. They stressed that underground signals, historical records, and old maps alone cannot prove any theory. Until physical excavation, laboratory analysis, and independent scientific verification are completed, no one can say with certainty what lies beneath the surface. The investigation had now reached a critical moment. On one side stood a centuries-old historical theory, and on the other stood modern scientific evidence. Around the world, everyone was asking the same question: the hidden chamber beneath the money pit. After reviewing the latest scan reports, the investigation shifted its attention to the large underground feature located directly beneath the money pit. By combining ground scans, core sample data, and detailed 3D geological mapping, the team produced a digital model that immediately captured everyone's attention. Roughly 180 feet below the surface appeared a massive chamber-like shape. Its dimensions and outline looked completely different from the surrounding rock, giving the impression that it might have been intentionally constructed rather than naturally formed. Yet the chamber itself was only part of the mystery. Around the feature, the scans revealed thick formations resembling stone walls arranged at nearly equal intervals. According to experts, natural rock layers rarely produce such balanced and symmetrical patterns. Because of this, the team immediately launched another series of scans across the surrounding area. Each new survey continued to reveal the same underground shape, increasing confidence that something unusual was indeed present below. The researchers then focused on several narrow linear anomalies extending toward the chamber. Some specialists suggested these features might represent ancient tunnel connections, while others cautioned that it would be impossible to identify them as tunnels without excavation. Nevertheless, one observation stood out. Many of the underground signals appeared to converge at the same location, as though multiple pathways were leading directly to the chamber. Geologists, engineers, and archaeologists spent hours examining the digital reconstruction inside the war room. Several experts suggested that if the surrounding stone walls were truly human-made, they could be enclosing a sealed chamber that had remained untouched for centuries. Even with growing confidence, Rick and Marty made it clear that no final conclusion would be announced. Every theory would first need to pass physical excavation, laboratory testing, and independent scientific review before it could be accepted. Still, one point was becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. More and more experts agreed that the evidence now justified taking the investigation to its next stage. The $350 million estimate. After the first clear image of the underground structure appeared, attention quickly turned to one unavoidable question. If the discovery proves to be genuine, what could it actually be worth? As news of the underground discovery spread, one question quickly became the center of attention. Where did the estimated value of $350 million come from? Had someone actually identified treasure beneath Oak Island, or was it simply an educated guess? Rick and Marty Lagina's team made one thing absolutely clear. The figure was never presented as a confirmed value. It was only a preliminary estimate based on the available scientific evidence and early analysis, and it could only be verified through further investigation. The experts first examined the unusually strong metallic readings detected beneath the target area. Multiple scans continued to identify high-density metallic signals coming from the exact same location. When those readings were combined with the dimensions revealed by the 3D underground model, researchers realized that the anomaly covered an area far larger than what would normally be expected from a natural geological feature. To strengthen their assessment, scientists reviewed core samples, rock density measurements, and historical borehole records. Interestingly, several older surveys had also recorded unusual readings in this section of the island. At the same time, historians revisited centuries-old treasure accounts, archived documents, and long-standing stories connected to Oak Island. Some researchers suggested that if the underground structure proved to be a human-made chamber containing historical artifacts, precious metals, or other valuable objects, its potential worth could reach hundreds of millions of dollars. That possibility became the foundation for the widely discussed $350 million estimate. Even so, the investigation team repeatedly reminded everyone that metallic signals alone do not prove the existence of gold or buried treasure. Until the site is excavated, laboratory testing is completed, and independent scientific verification confirms the findings, every estimate remains only a possibility rather than a fact. Still, one remarkable detail continued to attract worldwide attention. For the first time in the island's long history, the size of the underground structure, repeated metallic readings, and centuries-old treasure theories all appeared to point toward the same location. That is why many researchers described it as the most significant potential discovery ever associated with Oak Island. Rick and Marty's most important decision. Following the discovery of such powerful underground signals, many people expected heavy excavation equipment to arrive immediately. Instead, Rick and Marty Lagina made a decision that surprised almost everyone involved in the investigation. They announced that no excavators, drilling rigs, or heavy machinery would be used until scientists were completely confident in the evidence. Rick explained that if a sealed chamber or carefully built underground structure truly existed beneath the island, one careless excavation could destroy evidence that had survived for more than 2 centuries. Marty shared the same view. After dedicating so many years to the search, he believed there was no reason to rush the most important stage of the investigation. Even if additional weeks were required, every decision would be guided by scientific evidence rather than excitement. With that decision made, the project entered an entirely new phase. Geologists began evaluating the stability of the surrounding rock formations. Engineers studied underground pressure and the possibility of structural collapse, while archaeologists explored methods for opening a potential historical chamber without causing irreversible damage. At the same time, the team collected additional core samples, carried out another series of underground scans, and submitted all new information to independent specialists for review. Safety experts were particularly concerned about one possibility. If the chamber had remained completely sealed for centuries, removing the surrounding rock too quickly could weaken the structure or destroy valuable archaeological evidence before it could be properly documented. Scientists also investigated whether hidden flood tunnels or underground voids existed beneath the site. Oak Island's long history includes several flooding events and tunnel collapses, making this risk impossible to ignore. Because of these concerns, every report, measurement, and scan was carefully reviewed multiple times before any excavation could begin. Rick and Marty understood that the world was watching their every move. But for them, uncovering the truth safely was far more important than rushing toward the possibility of treasure. The final scientific investigation, Rick and Marty also understood that if the discovery ultimately proved genuine, it could become one of the most important archaeological revelations ever linked to Oak Island, and perhaps far beyond it. For that reason, they approved one final and comprehensive scientific investigation before authorizing any major excavation. The team emphasized that this stage would rely entirely on scientific evidence rather than speculation. Fresh core samples were collected from the target area and distributed to multiple laboratories for detailed analysis. Scientists carefully examined the composition of the rock, soil layers, and metallic traces to better understand what lay beneath the surface. Additional boreholes were drilled to determine the true dimensions of the underground anomaly and to trace the direction in which its surrounding boundaries extended. Every new result was compared with previous surveys to eliminate possible errors and ensure complete consistency. The investigation then moved to another level. Using the latest generation of high-resolution underground scanning technology, researchers combined data from ground-penetrating radar, 3D subsurface imaging, and digital geological mapping to create an even more detailed model of the area below. The outcome was striking. Every new scan continued to highlight the same powerful signals from nearly the exact same location. The repeated consistency strengthened the belief among scientists that the underground anomaly was unlikely to be an ordinary natural rock formation. Even then, Rick and Marty refused to rely solely on their own team's interpretation. To maintain complete scientific transparency, every report was forwarded to independent geologists, engineers, archaeologists, and other specialists for separate evaluation. Their goal was simple: to ensure that any future conclusion would be supported by objective evidence rather than the opinion of a single investigation team.